Hello and welcome to Footy Talk for your Mondays. Footy Talk is your place for the latest news, interviews and analysis from the world of AFL. My name is Jay Clark and there is so much happening. I cannot wait to talk to this absolute legend. It's Abbey Holmes, the Centurion. Hello to you, Abbey.
Hello, it is great to be here with you once again on a Monday as we dissect what was an epic round of footy. But let's cut to the chase.
Yes.
Shall we?
Go on.
Harley Reid.
Yes.
I am obsessed, right? And he is
How obsessed?
very obsessed.
Posters on your wall obsessed?
Yes. And I wouldn't be the only one. Let's put it that way. He is taking the absolute piss, isn't he?
He is.
This is a kid who has just turned 19 only a few weeks ago. The first goal, it's not easy to make Christian Petrarca look slow.
Yes.
Right? And he did that. But then the double fend, the Oliver with one hand.
Yep.
A second later, you get Petrarca with the other. I think everybody is just in awe of what this young kid is producing. And I loved watching Adam Simpson's reaction in the box.
Yes.
In the box. Just being like,
Wow.
Yeah. This is something special.
Yep. Are you a Simpsons fan? Because do you remember the episode where Ralph Wiggum's kid, where Lisa breaks the heart of Ralph Wiggum's kid, and they see it on tape and they slow motion. You can see his heart sort of, or you can see his face crumple with his heart broken. That was Petrarca and Oliver for me when Harley Reid planted his hand in their chest. It was unbelievable. This kid can write his own check.
Absolutely.
Because he is looking like not only West Coast best player, I think that was probably clear 6 weeks ago, but when, Mark Robinson, etc., starts doing his top 50 players in the competition, is he in that sort of equation? Like, we haven't seen a first-year player do what he's doing. But equally now, he's looking like one of the more game-breaking, most exciting players in the competition.
Absolutely.
Do you think?
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
And what I am loving is that Harley Reid, at 18 years of age, when he first came into the system, has been given license to just play football. You are so naturally gifted, so naturally talented. We're not going to cram your head with systems and structures and game plans, and we're just going to let you go play football. And he said that in one of his first interviews with, I think it was Kath, post West Coast first win of the season. And he actually said that. He said, they're just telling me to go play football.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
He's given me license to do what I do best, and that is to play. I loved Clayton Oliver post-game yesterday walking over to, shake hands with him, and he's shaking his head as though...
Clayton did?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
He's going, you're a freak. You're an absolute freak.
I missed that.
Oh, so, you've got the respect of every single player in the competition.
His peers.
But what I also love about Harley Reid is he's given so much hope to this football club, but he's bringing out the best in the other players on the list. Look at Jake Waterman. Where's he been for the last 6 years? I understand he's had a lot of injuries to work through and that kind of thing, but for him to now be equal top of the Coleman medal race, he's just bringing out the best in those around him, and that's what I love about West Coast this year.
My mates call him Duck because he's the next Wayne Carey. They're all over him. Although it does look a bit more like Fraser Gehrig. That win over Melbourne, geez, it does put some question marks over Melbourne. Might get to them in a second. But from a list management perspective, Abbey, remember late last year when there was a lot of talk about West Coast have got to trade this top pick? Rowan O'Brien, who was a list manager and then left afterwards, he's now at Essendon. The decision to hold on to this pick in the face of pressure to trade it could be one of the great list management decisions ever. Like Hawthorn getting Luke Hodge with number one, or Carlton sort of getting Josh Kennedy from West Coast. Like those big, really big calls over the journey. This could, Geelong getting Brad Ottens and winning 3 premierships. Their decision to hold on to that pick, how is that looking now? Because Zane Dersma, who got 4 touches for North Melbourne on Sunday, and pick 2, which is Colby McCutcheon, they'll be very good players, I'm sure. But, geez, for North Melbourne fans, it would have been a hard watch.
It's heartbreaking. And, of course, that all came off the back of their win against Gold Coast at the end of last year that ultimately lost them that number 1 pick. So that is a conversation in itself, sliding doors moments. But what you want to see now is Harley Reid has gone over to the West, right? He's moved away from home and moved away from his family and friends to start again. You would hope that Harley is now in it for the long haul with West Coast.
He looks happy.
He looks so happy, doesn't he? And it's a great life over there. I mean, Keegs went over there in 2019 for a year, so we experienced it for 12 months and loved it.
Cottesloe's nice.
Cottesloe's lovely.
Yeah.
So I just hope that for West Coast's sake that Harley Reid is committed to that club long term, and we don't see him come back south and east over the next kind of 4 or 5 years.
Probably one of the most marketable players in the game at the moment. Can we move on to, excuse me, Collingwood, right? Because their forward line is in disarray at the moment due to injuries. So good win. They held off your mob.
Speaking of heartbreaking.
Adelaide. What is with these two teams?
Mate, the last 4 by a combined margin of 12 points.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Under a goal, 4 out of the last 5 times. Isaac Rankin, he went too far. Don't give me it was a harsh decision. We want the umpires to pay the correct calls, and it was right. Did his hamstring at the end. He's electric, I'll tell you that. But Collingwood, interesting. So Friday night, they play against Fremantle. They don't have a forward line. Literally, they've all forward. They've all gone. McCreary, Mychek. Will Hoskin-Elliott did his hamstring at the weekend. Plus Reef McInnes now with concussion. Jordan Ngoe played pretty much well all forward. So maybe is that what happens? Do you go small ball forward, play Ngoe out of the square, keep Nick, Crisp and Scott, who's on fire, in the midfield, and just play Geordie forward out of the goal square like it's 1980.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to, because as you said, the numbers are dwindling in their forward half through injuries.
You might be playing.
I
They
know,
might be getting you in the
exactly
mid-season
right.
draft.
Imagine. But that's what you need to do. You know, Geordie Ngoe has such a presence around him no matter where he is on the ground. We know what he can do around the ball in the midfield group. But when his side need him to go forward, you know that he's going to go there and he's going to perform. You know what to expect from Jordan Ngoe. So chuck him in that forward line mix and let the others go to work around him. And I still think the Pies are bloody good, even with the injuries that they have on their list.
And the clutch set shot too. So Isaac Quain or some other at the back, they break forward, Nick's involved. Ngoe takes it, was a 40 metres out. I just thought it's in the perfect man's hands. I thought he's going to love this, Jordan Ngoe. The maturity of him, he's just dominating, I think, at the moment. He looks happy, and he kicked that goal and pumped his fist.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, I loved it for him.
But what you love about Collingwood as well is that they play those situations better than anybody else in the competition.
How?
They love it. They thrive on it.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it
practice.
is, but it is. It's practice at Clubland, of course. You always play situations and circumstances, or train them, I should say. And Craig McRae said they're so comfortable in that space. They know exactly what they need to do, how they need to do it, who needs to do what. And they are just so good at executing under pressure. And yes, much to every other club's disappointment, you just know that the Pies are going to come home strong. 16
out of their last 20 close ones, I think they've won. It's absolutely extraordinary. Hey, you've noticed something about the tagger.
Yes.
What's your theory on taggers?
It's back. It is
Baby.
back, baby. And James Jordan, right? Sydney's sitting pretty on top of the ladder. 2 games clear now.
Team to beat.
What they did on Friday night, I was sitting there on the boundary, literally going, how does 17 other teams in the competition stop this? They are the number 1 side for offense. They're the number 1 side for defense. The pressure that they applied on Carlton on Friday night was crazy good. I spoke to Cripper post-game and he just said we just could not get our ball movement going. We couldn't get any speed on the ball because they were just shutting it down. So I'm sitting there going, who has what it takes to combat this style of game? Enter James Jordan and the roles that he's been playing for them the last few weeks. Jordan Clark, he kept him, I think he had 1 kick to half time when Sydney played Freo. He's done jobs on Whitfield as well prior. But Sammy Walsh, who arguably is one of Carlton's most influential, impactful players.
I'd say, other than Curnow, he is.
Held him to 20 disposals. Sam Walsh's 7 games prior to that, he'd had 30 plus. So
Put the handcuffs on.
Put the handcuffs on. What do they call him? Padlock now, apparently.
Do they?
Yes.
Cool. I like
Mentioned that on Triple M Footy post game. I think there was Errol Goulden that said that. But yeah, that role is crucial. And, you know, the 6-6-6, obviously James Jordan, he was starting off half forward. As soon as that ball was bounced, bang, just locking in on Sammy Walsh. He was getting very frustrated, put off his game. He didn't have any time and space. And that really impacted the way that he was able to, I guess, attack the footy, attack contests and you know, ultimately be really influential for his side.
Speaking of frustration, we're going to get to the Hawthorn and their meltdown. I saw a look on Sammy Mitchell's face in the coach's box. He would have been absolutely sideways, Sammy. I'll get to him in a second. Recruit of the year. So you mentioned Jordan. What's your pecking order there look like?
There's so many that you could go
Who's
down.
your top 3?
Well, I'd have Brodie Grundy there as well.
Yep.
And I've said this on Footy Talk the last few weeks, but you can't help but feel really proud of what he's doing based on what he's gone through over the last few years. From Collingwood to Melbourne, playing VFL, not fitting in. Everybody wants to fit in, right? But going up to Sydney, who have really struggled with the ruck aspect of their game, with injuries to Hickey and Naismith. There was so many that have come in and out over the last few years and just haven't quite clicked, haven't got it right. Brodie Grundy has come in, he's fit, he's firing, he's ready to go, and he is effectively playing the role of another midfielder in the way that as soon as that ball hits the ground, he can get his own clearance, he can win his own contested ball, but he's allowing those mids to get to work and get first use.
It could be the story of the season if Sydney win the premiership.
My goodness.
And Brodie Grundy lifts the cup after being kicked out of Collingwood, kicked out of Melbourne, lands at Sydney and wins the flag.
Gives me goosebumps.
It would be. Well, this is the impact I have on people sometimes. Abbey, I just get this. I had my story tell. I'm kidding. Brodie Grundy, it would be the front page picture of their premiership.
Wouldn't it?
He would get his revenge, and you take your hat off to him. But don't forget my man, Benny Mackay. Because
he's third.
Is he third? Yeah. He said after they knocked off his former team, North Melbourne, he's got his love of footy back.
Yeah.
So he had, I think, 7 wins in 8 years at North Melbourne.
Yeah.
He said he felt sorry. Like he said, I'm thinking of the guys because they're trying so hard. They're getting whacked every week.
And he's good mates with them still.
He went and had lunch with them last week.
Absolutely, yeah.
So tough for him. I wonder what the future holds for North Melbourne, when that needle is going to turn, because if you're Luke Davies-Uniacke, who played an extraordinary game yesterday, couldn't have tried any harder. He's got that burst power. He's maintaining the faith in the Kangaroo vision.
But that first half,
it
wasn't bad.
That was good.
They had a crack.
They did have a crack.
Exactly. So I think if you're a North Melbourne supporter looking at the effort that is applied for that first half, you're happy. But it is, as you said, they're so young, they're inexperienced. Once they can really hone in on the 4-quarter effort and being able to maintain it across the entirety of a game, then I think there is plenty of upside for North Melbourne, but it is going to take a little bit of time.
I'm going to start calling you glass half
I
full, Abbey
know.
Holmes. I love the positivity. Sometimes I look at it from a different perspective, and it is they could be winless this year, I'm sorry to say, North Melbourne. Now, what about the Hawks? So I didn't think they could lose. You thought surely not.
Yeah.
You thought, what a road win against Port Adelaide. Tough side. They can do it here, and then Zach Butters just completely takes over.
Shattered for them because Hawthorn did so much right yesterday at Adelaide Oval. They did so much right. But what you need to look at is how much they went into their shell with 15 to 20 minutes remaining. They went into game-saving mode, not winning a game of football mode.
Blake Hardwick?
Like,
was the match winner up forward? Gets swung back. So did they bugger it up in the coach's box?
Oh, but not necessarily. You can't blame the coaches, right? Because at the end of the day, you can. Glass half empty over here. But what I noticed was that their ball movement completely dried up. They were not attacking the game at all. They, for some reason, forgot how to actually possess a bloody football.
Mistakes crept in.
Mistakes,
got
just
nervous.
fumbling. They were missing targets by handball. And I'm sorry, but in that last 30 seconds from centre bounce, if you could pick one player that you know is going to step up and drive the ball inside 50 from centre bounce, who's it going to be?
Jason Horne-Francis. Zach Butters.
Those two, do not give them an inch. Where Zach Butters had 2-3 metres of space on his opponent and drove the ball deep inside 50. Carl Amon, once again, all you needed to do was take possession of that ball and lock it down. Whereas he enabled it just to spill out, and Darcy Byrne-Jones got it done for Port Adelaide. And you can't take anything away from them, right? They were so good, particularly in that final quarter. They had 23 to 4 inside 50s in that term alone. But Zach Butters was the game changer. He had 15 touches to 3-quarter time. He had 17 in the last quarter.
Amazing.
So he just went full beast mode and got it done for Port.
Certainly. I've seen teams try and play Zach Butters in front of them. So you got to be behind him. So he's in front of you, so you try and make it more of a strength contest in a wrestle. He's not super strong, but he's quick. If he gets behind you and gets on the fly and gets the speed up, then that is when he's a real threat. Do you know what I love about this season, maybe more than anything?
What's that?
Ken Hinckley's celebrations. Like, for the grandfather of the league, his celebrations are absolutely on point. All the interaction with the Geelong crowd last week, I love all that. I love the theatre. And then yesterday again, he's going bonkers again. So I love that, Ken. Keep giving it to us.
And you don't get much emotion from Kenny, do you, outside of those situations?
He's straight batting press conferences.
Absolutely. So to see that level of emotion from him, it's a really good thing to see. For Port Adelaide fans, yes, but the wider football public in general, you want to see that from coaches.
But they are a hard side to read, Port Adelaide. I don't know if they're going to make the grand final or miss the 8. Like just either one of those things wouldn't surprise me.
Just quickly back on Hawthorn though, positive signs everywhere. Yeah. Positive signs everywhere. I think
Will Day.
Will Day, he's amazing. And they missed him at the start of the season.
He's their best player?
Yeah. And Ginnivan up forward, I just love, I guess, the energy and the excitement that he brings. I think there's lots of upside for the Hawks, and it won't be too long before we see them back in contention for finals.
Sammy Mitchell, who you just know is the fiercest competitor going around. The look on his face in the final,
I said to Keegs, because we were sitting on the couch, I'm like, what do you think Sammy Mitchell would have said? And he was like, honestly.
He would have been sideways. Absolutely sideways. Do you know, and speaking of Jason Horne-Francis too, guess who he plays this weekend on Saturday down there in Hobart? It's a bit of a grudge match. Any ideas?
Old ex-North Melbourne team.
I wonder if that'll get a little bit fiery. The wheels have fallen off GWS. I'm not sure what's going on there. We love Dreamtime at the G. I know it's a cause close to your heart, Abbey, with the magnificent Indigenous contribution to our game. This is the pre-game ceremony. Do you remember when Sydney Stack sort of took over the dance, or like just acted on instinct and went right out the front? I think with the Indigenous dance. I took my son. I think that was one of his first games. It was incredible. And Richmond are under the pump. I can't wait for the ceremony and the theatre around that, but then also to see if Richmond actually show something. Back-to-back 100-point thrashings almost. Like, you don't want to get done over a third straight time, because then the pressure will ramp up. I know it's Adam Muse's only his first year. Yeah. They need to be competitive. I don't know the injury list, but they need to be competitive, don't they?
They cannot serve up what they've served up the last 2 weeks for a 3-week straight. You're right. And the Bombers, they're sitting in the top 2. Can you believe it? To round 10.
Lid's off down at Tullamarine.
The lid is off. Yeah. The lid is off. What is it? 2013, I think, was the last time that they started a season this well.
Yes. When they got booted out of the finals because of the supplement stuff.
I'm positive.
Don't talk about the war, Abbey.
But look, you're right. Dreamtime at the G is something that we all look forward to. We highlight, celebrate the incredible contribution of all Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people to the great game of AFL that we all know and love. Yep. So it's more than just a game of football. It's a real celebration, just a great night to be a part of. But you are right. You hope that this is a stage where Richmond put their foot down and we see an added effort from them on Saturday night. We feel for our man Brody, who we love here at Footy Talk. Love him. And he's busting his ass out there and they can't get the 4 points. In fact, they can't get even within 100 points at the moment to Tigers. So come on, Nathan. I know you're a big fan of this show, right? Abbey Holmes, you have been absolutely outstanding as always. Can't wait to catch you on Channel 7 this weekend. Thursday night, Bulldogs versus Sydney. Bulldogs are actually a bit up and about after knocking off the GWS Giants. They're a story at the moment. And then Fremantle host Collingwood on Friday night. Massive lineup of football for round 11. Thank you so much for joining us on Footy Talk. Footy Talk, of course, is your place for the latest news, interviews and analysis from the world of AFL. It's Jay Clark and Abbey Holmes signing off. We'll be back with the St Kilda Mafia, Lee Montagna and the headline-making Nick Rewalt. That's tomorrow on Footy Talk.